Alright, hello everyone. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. On my YouTube channel, I have created a lot of videos already on my Rankin channel. I probably have 200 or 300 of them out there as of right now, and there are videos out there on JavaScript, HTML5, CSS3, C#, Java, ASP.NET. But I've made the semi-conscious decision that I'm going to go down a new route and start working on something new that's not even part, right now at least, of anything that goes on at Rankin. And that is, through trial and error and a lot of other things, have been introduced to a product called AppInventor2, which you may or may not have heard of before. It's a product that basically was, I believe, created by Google and has been taken over by MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And, you're not hurting at all for things on there on AppInventor2, because if you go and Google AppInventor2, and there are two different ones. There's AppInventor and there's AppInventor2. Now, AppInventor is typically today called AppInventor Classic, and usually AppInventor2 is either referred to as just AppInventor or AppInventor2. But as you can see, there are 17 million hits. And the main site, I'm not going to click that right now, because if you do click it, what happens is it brings you out, and for lack of better words, it kind of asks you if you want to. Where is it? Well, I can show it to you anyway. So if I do click it, it basically comes in and it wants me to log in. Okay? So it's asking me to go and log in right here. All right, and that's not even the account I want to use. Seems to work best when you use a Google account, because this is a Google product. I have not tried this yet with Yahoo, so I'm not sure if it works, doesn't work, or whatever. Long story short, this weekend I am going to give a presentation to some high school students, and they kind of open it up as far as what I wanted to do it on. And I thought, well, what a good chance for me to start to learn a little bit of AppInventor2 and to try to show people what I know. All right, so this is the presentation that I've created. I'm going to go through part of it right now, and I'm going to show you a bunch of URLs. I want to keep these presentations down to like no more than about 20 minutes a piece. So I will probably, at least on occasion, be checking the time, because in the classroom I typically droll on for about 50 to 55 minutes, and then I give them a break. But here, it's much easier to understand this stuff if you get it in smaller bites. So this is the presentation that I'm going to be giving, and it's just called MIT AppInventor2 Lookman No Coding Required. All right. So when I give this presentation, this is what I'll be going over. First, a little bit about AppInventor2 itself. All right. They actually create something that they call Course in a Box, which has a boatload of apps already written for you. All right, so we'll talk about that and hit some URLs that are pretty important. I'm going to hit some of those in just a minute. And then I'm going to go over and I'm going to actually create a series of projects for you. All right, the first project is real simple. Just going to have, for lack of better words, it's going to have the equivalent of what we would probably call a form in other languages. And I'll put 3 buttons on it. One button will say red, one button will say white, and one button will say blue. And as you probably can guess, if I click the red button, the form will turn red, white it'll turn white, blue it'll turn blue. All right. Then in the second project, I want to introduce what's called the text-to-speech component. In fact, they'll be in the second and the third projects. All right. In the second project, we'll let the computer do the talking, and you'll see that it is that kind of drawn-out, kind of computerized voice, although you can play with a pitch and you can play with a tone and a few other things. But we'll set up a very simple little thing where we'll just put a couple buttons on the screen, and one will say like wolf, wolf, or something like that, and the other one will say just kidding. And if you press the one that says wolf, it'll say wolf, wolf. And if you press the one that says just kidding, it'll say just kidding. We'll also put an image out on the screen that'll show kind of the story of the boy who cried wolf. In the third project, I've got it Hello Kitty / doggy. This is kind of taken from the Hello Purr that's right out on the Android AppInventor2 tutorial site. But I changed it around a little bit. I added the dog part to it. But there we'll show how we can literally go and click on buttons, and the buttons will basically be in the form of images. And if you click on the kitty, it'll play an MP3 file of a cat kind of meowing, and the dog with the dog barking. From there we'll go on, and I'm going to give you two versions of a guessing game. The first one will be just code, no speech, no anything, and then we'll add the speech to it. All right. This whack-a-mole thing, I've got it working. Well, I shouldn't even say I've got it working. I've got it done. But I haven't tried hooking up my Android phone and running any of these, so maybe I'll try that. We'll see. The sixth project is one I'm still working on, so hopefully I'll finish it soon. It's called Magic 8 Ball. And talk about then where we go next. So, what I want to do, like I said, I want to constantly, that's okay, I'm only at 6 minutes, that's good. I want to constantly be checking because I don't want these lectures to run, ideally, none of them will run more than 15 minutes. So I'm not going to go through all the slides that I've got on here right now. There's 24 of them, and I'm only on number 4. All right? But let's just take a look at what it says on here. AppInventor2 is an open source web app originally provided or created, however you want to say it, by Google and now maintained by MIT. I did do a little bit of reading on the history of it, and I believe the person who kind of heads it up at MIT now used to work at Google. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's how it's set up. Notice here's the key thing. It allows newcomers to computer programming to create software applications or apps for the Android operating system without knowing how to code. Working with AppInventor2 in some ways is like working with a puzzle where you have interlocking pieces, and you'll see that in the next lecture because we'll start to go into it already. There are many institutions out there that are starting to teach AppInventor2, and they're not even teaching it as part of a computer science or an information technology program. They're just teaching it. And there are a lot of people who are writing apps, and some really good apps, that before they got into this AppInventor2 had never done anything as far as computer programming. So it says here, the magic begins at appinventor.mit.edu explore. Well, I could click that, but I've already got it up here. So when you go to the site that's right here, not there, let me hit enter a few times here. So when you go to appinventor.mit.edu, it pushes you off to explore. And that's the page. So what you see on the screen is the same URL that's in my address bar. I like to do this because a lot of times I've heard from people that it's very hard to see it on the screen. So there you go. All right. So it's appinventor.mit.edu/explore. All right. Now there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm not going to click all of it. It would be silly to try to do something like that. All right. But if you look down toward the bottom, and I'm not going to click any of these, but I just want to show them to you. Notice there is a complete getting started guide. All right. There are tutorials, and we'll look at some of those in just a bit. There's a thing in there, so if you are actually a teacher, and I went through it, and it's okay. I guess what they do is they offer their own tips on how this stuff should be taught, and there is a nice forum in there that's meant to help answer questions. There's news and events, the kind of stuff that you typically see, but the key thing is what's up here. All right, and that is this Create Apps button, because when you want to get started, and you want to actually start to create your own apps using AppInventor2, that's where you start. And if you click that button, what it does is it immediately pushes you off then. Oops. Let's see, I need to sign in with a different account. I want that one. All right. Okay, that's fantastic. I just changed the password, and that was what I changed it to, so It says I'm signed in now. But then you get this message, which makes it really tough. All right? So, usually I go back again, and I'm probably going to change password here. Okay, and I'll put a new password in. Okay. All right. I'm not going to worry about it right now. What I want to do, rather than doing that, is to show you some of the rest of the stuff that's here. All right? I hope I haven't turned you off to using this. I'll get it fixed before I start again. If you click the tutorials button that we looked at earlier, this is what you see. This is not a tutorial here, that's a book, and we're going to go over that in just a second. But here are 3 of the tutorials that you can start. All right, this has actually got several in here. As it says, there's a talk to me, a ball bounce, and a digital doodle. This is called Paint Pot, and it's based off of a program that was like, I don't know, in the 70s or something, where you've got a canvas and you can put an image on here or whatever, and then you can draw all over it. So you could put your picture in there and you could put a mustache on it and do whatever you wanted to do. Here's Mole Mash, and again, I'm not going to talk about that right now, but this is kind of important right here. This App Inventor, this is the book that I'm using. Now, normally, when I start to learn a language, I kind of immerse myself in, I read about it. I go out to their site. I don't even do a lot of my own stuff first. I maybe spend just a week trying to, like I said, immerse myself in it and see what the heck is going on. I decided not to do that here. I kind of went the other route. I did very little reading and just started writing right away. But the point is, this right here, it's also right here. This is online. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to make sure that I keep taking all of these different URLs and put them in a list, put them out there. But if you go out to http://www.appinventor.org/book2, and I think it'll just take it with the appinventor.org/book2, all right, you can also buy, it's going to push me in the same place. You can also buy this book on Amazon, and I bought it. I think it was about 20 bucks. It says here $39.99, but I know that's not what I paid for it. All right. In fact, let's just take a quick look. All right. Well, maybe I did pay that much. I don't remember. But it says here for buying it new, it's $28.63. I may have bought a used one, because notice that used ones start at $12.18. Okay. All right. But what I would like to do, I'm not saying this is what I'm going to do, but what I'd like to do would be eventually to go over every chapter that's in this book. And as you can see, there's 24 of them. All right. And the first 13 chapters, to my knowledge, all have at least one app in them. And I'd like to write those apps, even though they're shown in the book, I'd like to write them and walk through them, go through my own trials and tribulations, and hopefully I can help somebody else along the way. All right. And then also go over the inventor's manual, because a lot of the chapters that are here, I've read these, but a lot of the chapters that are here refer to programs that are written over here. All right. But the point is, this whole book is online. It's right here. So if you don't want to go through the time and trouble, and there are some people who are more comfortable reading a book online, there are some people who would rather have a hard copy where they can underline, even though I know you can underline with online books, but you know, it's whatever floats your boat, as they say. So that's another one. Let's just go through these, and then I'll stop this lecture. So those were the tutorials. So the Explorer is what you get to when you first come there, come out to the site. All right. The tutorials are just that. Okay, and you can see that most of it, not all of it, so far starts with appinventor.mit.edu, not the book. All right. But as far as some of the other stuff, so for right now, I'm just going to close this. And notice that there's some other stuff that's out there. All right, here are a bunch of apps. This is all from the first page. This is all from the first page that's on the Google search. All right, so there's a bunch of them right there. This is the page I'd already shown you. This will be the sign-in page, which I'll get back to in just a couple minutes. And this is the book that I've just shown you. So what I'm going to do in the next lecture, that's 15 minutes, so this is plenty long. So what I'm going to do in the next lecture is I'm going to start up AppInventor2 and go through what I've gone through. Okay, and again, you have to realize that in many ways, I'm not traditional, and I'm hardware stupid. I'm software fairly smart. So if I show you how to do something, it may not be the best way. Ideally, it will be a way that will work. So I'll be back to talk to you about that in just a couple minutes. Last thing I want to mention real quick is, and I'm going to have to lower the font on this, but, and that's a little too small. I think we can make it about 28. This first URL that you see right here, the first one that's right there, that is going to be the URL for my YouTube channel. Now this will be hard because if you're already watching this, you already know the URL. But you're going to hopefully be able to get it to if you just Google or go to YouTube and you search for Jeff Scott / Rankin Technical College, you'll be able to get to it from there also. Okay, so I'll be back with the second lecture shortly.